Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another brand new episode of the Collider Games podcast. My name's Dennis Den, and in studio we've got...
What up? It's Tony Revis.
Yeah, and through, not Skype this time, it is through the Discord. We had some issues with the Skype. Usually it's Skype. I don't want to misrepresent. This is through the Discord video, I guess, whatever their... video
platform.
Chatting platform is on Discord.
We had to pull some strings this time to make things work.
So we've got Caboose. How you doing, Caboose?
Doing really good. And actually, I thought maybe this would be a good a time as any to make a little announcement.
Oh, okay.
Some people may have seen on my Twitter. Tony definitely saw on my Twitter. I am going to be in LA towards the end of the month, beginning of next month, for the Borderlands 3 gameplay reveal event. So I will be in Los Angeles. Hopefully we can work some things out. Maybe we can potentially get me on the Collider Games podcast live.
Yeah. Like we had,
that'll be a good time.
Yeah, like you did when you came for the Mortal Kombat 11 event. Get you in studio and then hopefully do some other cool things there. That's good news. I'm glad to hear.
As a lifelong Borderlands fan as well, just to be able to attend this event is going to be a really cool experience, and I am just beyond excited for it.
Nice. All right, so going off that good news.
And sorry, because I'm obligated to say this. I have to say thank you to 2K and Gearbox for bringing me out. Special thanks to them. Yeah.
Nice.
But I will not thank them until they fix Borderlands Game of the Year. I still can't play with my friends. Fix it. Sorry.
Interesting.
Sorry. Had to say that.
You know, as we're recording this, people, watching or listening to this don't know, like, 90% of the office is gone right now.
Yeah, it's very quiet.
Yeah.
Very quiet.
Like, if you come in here, you think it's Saturday or Sunday, because most everyone's gone. They're at Star Wars Celebration. I was
That's like that little indie movie or whatever, right?
Yeah, something like that.
I was lucky to go to Star Wars Celebration 2 years ago. They didn't have one last year. And unfortunately, I couldn't go this year. I was supposed to go and then didn't go. And then a bunch of other people went for Collider. So we got a lot of coverage. We did like a reaction to the trailer and also other good stuff. But some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today in games, I'm tying this to the games, we're going to talk about because we saw a trailer for Vader Immortal. Perry actually got to play a demo of it.
Nice.
Yeah, well, because she's over there at Celebration and whatnot. Also, we'll speculate on Jedi Fallen Order.
Yes.
But the first thing I want to talk about is this kind of rumor / Easter egg about the next Assassin's Creed game. We know Assassin's Creed's not having a game this year, which we actually have talked about before, saying that's actually a good thing.
Sure.
We don't want these games to be like constantly coming out and they're not putting as much effort and whatever 100%. Into it. So the next one is probably 2020, and it looks like that they may be changing the time period and the I guess the subject matter like they did for Assassin's Creed Odyssey, where they talked about ancient Greece.
Right.
Now they're going to talk about supposedly Vikings.
Yeah.
And that it was an Easter egg that was found in Division 2.
Yeah.
They said they found posters in the Potomac Event Center that had Valhalla written on them. And
nice.
This is, Ubisoft was reached out and they said they don't comment on rumors or speculations.
Yeah, and also on the poster in the game, it says Valhalla, and then there's like a guy that looks like a Viking, but he's holding an apple that looks like the apple of Eden.
Yeah,
that's a part of Assassin's Creed lore, so that's what's getting people speculating. It's not just some random poster. There is connection.
Yeah, and there's some independent sources that have said that the next game they're working on is codenamed Kingdom and will revolve around Vikings. So this is like more than just, hey, the usual kind of online fan theory that people make up all the time. Like some people think Luke Skywalker is laughing at the end of the Episode 9 trailer, but it is not. It is Palpatine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one, is this getting you excited? I personally, I haven't finished it, but I really liked Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Mm-hmm. I like the world. I like the environment. I like the fact that Assassin's Creed is taking their concept and moving it around to different. It's not exactly Assassin's Creed, but they use a similar game mechanics and whatnot. They want to use that same franchise name because that's what they do. Yeah. And this makes sense. You want to breathe some new life into your franchise. You take it to other places that people are interested in.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Tony?
Yeah. So I was very hard on Assassin's Creed when they first announced at E3 Odyssey. I was like, give me a break. Like, it feels like it was like a new IP. They're just slapping the name on there, and that bugged me.
Yeah. Okay.
Now, when it came out, I will happily say I was wrong. Like, it is still Assassin's Creed.
Yes,
but
it has a lot of play mechanics.
Right, but when it first was announced, I was like, oh, give me a break. Like, that seems like just like a way, like, oh, let's just throw this name on it that people know, but it just felt so different. And it, like, Assassin's Creed has always been kind of, besides the time travel stuff, has been built in, like, realism, right, and historical accuracy. And then, like, oh, but now they're throwing mythology into it. And that just felt like, I was like, all right. But
Odyssey, like, broke the formula of what we always knew Assassin's Creed games to be. Right.
Yeah. And so I will, say like, okay, yeah, I was wrong. It was great. People loved it. Awesome. And I like what they did, kind of what you said, breathing new life into this series. And it's something that they needed because they've started to, with a game every year, people slowly started to be like, what are they doing? So now with this step, I think it's great going into continuing that where it can still be Assassin's Creed in gameplay, in moments, but making it new. And they did that with the ancient Greece here in Odyssey, and now moving into Norse mythology. I think is great. Vikings are hot right now. God of War stepped into that realm, and I think that was very successful. So I think just doing anything new, I shouldn't spit on it. Okay. I think it's a good thing. So I learned that lesson, personally. So good on you, Assassin's Creed. If this is where it's going, I'm all for it.
Caboose?
Yeah, I agree exactly with what you were saying, Dennis, where, just take what we know from Assassin's Creed, kind of the gameplay and the style of it, and just experiment, play around in these different time periods, what we got, with Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and now jumping in potentially with the Viking era. I love that. I am all for that. That is exactly what this franchise needs to breathe some new life into it. And especially as well, the fact that they're taking that year off is totally going to help.
That's huge.
This is a franchise. This is a game that should never have been a yearly thing.
Right.
No.
You can't Call of Duty this. It's for something as ambitious and as big as Assassin's Creed, being an open world game and having an interesting narrative, you can't do that yearly. It's so hard to keep up. And then you end up getting things like, what was it, Assassin's Creed Unity, was it called, where there was just bugs and it was brutal, just a horrible launch. You never want to experience something like that again. So the fact that they're taking a year off is perfect. That means that they're probably cooking up something really good for what we can expect in 2020. And if it's anything to do with Vikings, that seems like it could be amazing. So I am all for it.
Yeah, you're right. They can't Call of Duty. They can't Madden 90. Well,
exactly.
Madden 2018.
And that's the problem with Madden, FIFA, whatever. They do that because it's essentially the same game every
engine.
Year. They're just
tweaking it,
tweaking rosters, new players, whatever. You can't do that with a game like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And also, look, as someone who's a fan of the franchise, but not a diehard fan of Assassin's Creed,
right?
So I didn't play every single iteration. What happened was, the ones that I didn't play, I couldn't tell. I was like, so what's different about this one?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, is this really new? Like, okay, it's kind of set in a different place, but it's not totally different. Where like with Odyssey, and then presumably this Vikings, whether they're going to call it Kingdom, Valhalla, or whatever they want to call it, you see it, visually, you're like, that's a different thing. And, and look, to your point before when you're hating on Odyssey, I don't blame you in the sense of it could be, if you wanted to, be a whole separate. It's all business wise why they called it Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Yeah, that was my gripe.
They could have called it Odyssey. Yeah, and people would be like, oh, they just used Assassin's Creed gameplay mechanics and they
made their new IP or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it felt like. Yeah.
Which they could do with a lot of different things, but they want to get that tie-in for money's sake,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So
Cash grab.
yeah. So this one doesn't feel any different. I'm glad they're going to put in that 2 years or more of work into it, and hopefully we get a good game like we did with Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I totally agree.
Yeah, it sounds fun.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to our next topic. We just talked about it at the header. Star Wars Celebration. You have the Vader Immortal VR panel that happened today. They released a teaser trailer. The Jedi Fallen Order is coming out tomorrow.
Yes.
You put up a video on that, right, Caboose?
Yep. And we'll definitely have some coverage for whatever goes down with the official reveal tomorrow. But it was really interesting. So they finally came out. They showed us essentially just a super cryptic tease of what this game is about. And I mean, from the title of the game, you can kind of get an idea. So it's the Jedi Fallen Order, and this teaser photo is of a lightsaber. It looks a little damaged in some way, and then it's sitting on top of a rune. There was also like another poster that was revealed that showed a Jedi with some little robot that was sort of leaked. So I don't know. There's going to be some really interesting things around this game. The one thing, obviously, Respawn Entertainment is working on at this time, which is amazing. I'm so happy. They did just a phenomenal job with the Titanfall series. And then, of course, Apex Legends very recently. They knocked it out of the park there. So the fact that they are working on this game, I'm so happy about. Some people are still a little skeptical because, hey, EA's publishing, EA's behind it. However, to put some of those worries to rest a little bit, EA was also behind Titanfall and is behind Apex Legends. So they have had a good working relationship with Respawn so far. And another recent development about Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is that it's actually going to be using the Unreal Engine 4, whereas the previous Star Wars games we've gotten so far from EA have all been using the Frostbite engine, which has supposedly been the source of the problem for those games. So this could be
including Anthem.
Huge.
Yeah.
Yes. So this could be really huge. And I am really looking forward to seeing what these guys got in store with Star Wars. It's not getting delayed. It is coming out confirmed for 2019 in the fall of 2019. So this has me excited. I am not a massive Star Wars fan by any means. If you quizzed me on Star Wars trivia, I would be in dead last. But I am very hyped for this game.
Yeah, I'm reading some stuff because obviously the panel and presumably the first trailer will come out tomorrow, and we'll know more. And whatever the hell we're speculating on now will be moot. But they seem to be saying they're focusing a lot on story on this one. They hired a lot of people who worked on different games like Mafia 3, Knights of the Old Republic 2. So they're emphasizing story, that this isn't going to be, it's not going to be Apex Legends with Star Wars.
Not.
You know what I mean?
Definitely not. It's not going to be the Battlefront games either.
Yeah, they already have that, right? So they're going to make this a very story-driven game, which I think is very exciting. I mean, look, if you got Star Wars Celebration going on. Obviously, Episode 9 was the big panel. I think the second biggest one will be Mandalorian. But I think the Fallen Order might be third most important for Star Wars, this celebration.
And I think that's was showcased last year at E3 with them just even giving them any time just to say, like, hey, we're working on something. Like, they just even mention it last year. It shows how like much of a big deal this game is, and especially with the recent history with Star Wars games and EA, I think they know they got to knock this out of the park, which we've talked about before. I'm cautiously optimistic. Tomorrow,
I think that's fair.
Tomorrow I'll be more hyped or less hyped or whatever.
We will see.
You'll see. So again, all this is going to be kind of moot, but I think going with the story-driven aspect of it is a great idea.
That's the way to go, man.
They give me, if I was in charge, give me this expansive single player experience that can make me feel like I'm in Star Wars with an awesome story, and I'm gonna be happy.
Stop focusing on microtransactions and you know what I mean. Like, I mean that's probably the reason why they shied away from that first player game to begin with. They're talking about that Uncharted game, but.
Yeah, and it's good though that EA is being a little vocal this time about specifically a lot of the problems that they have gone through. Some people were tweeting out there like, "Oh, it's EA, who cares?" And they kind of responded to some of that stuff. They were like, "Hey, listen, we are going to be answering some real heavy-hitting questions, some important questions that you guys want to know about. I don't think they're just going to PR mock-up on this one. I think they're really going to just be upfront with the community and say, hey, we screwed up not just once, but twice. And the second time was worse than the first time. But I think we've got ourselves together for this game. And I hope that is what the case is. I don't want to see too many microtransactions. I think there will be microtransactions, but I don't want to see them flooding the game like they did with Battlefront 2. One thing I did want to mention, I think some of you guys probably already know, but the story is supposedly set very shortly after the events of Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. So take with that what you will. It is in between Episode 3 and, of course, Episode 4. So a lot of intriguing stuff, and I guess it is technically going to be within Star Wars canon. So that is really cool.
Yeah, definitely. And hopefully if they do the microtransaction, it'll be in some sort of multiplayer mode that's like
like a cosmetic only.
It's also an add-on. Like I want the single player to be the main focused. And then, because Battlefront, they had a single player campaign, but it seems like they had split their time between
Battlefront
single player,
2,
single player and the multiplayer. So, we're looking forward to that. Well, the other thing that this one we did see the teaser trailer, we did get some details. They had a panel for Vader Immortal VR, like I mentioned. We're very interested in VR here. Our boss here, Mark Fernandez, He's a VR diehard. We're working on the Twin Peaks VR game, which is exciting. So over here, we're all about VR. And Perry got to, I think by the time this video comes out, you'll be able to check out her playing the VR game and her thoughts on it. I mean, Perry's not a super diehard gamer, and she's not like she's more of a casual gamer. Like she'll play like Beat Saber on VR or whatever, that type of game. But she seemed to enjoy it, and with the Star Wars franchise being attached to this, and also it being have this storyline connected to Darth Vader, and it's set on Mustafar, like I think it will get in some of those people who may not be VR fans, and it's going to be on the Oculus Quest. And for people who don't know, like the Oculus Quest is kind of a slimmed down portable version.
Entry level.
Well, you don't need a PC at all. It's not connected by PC, and you don't need any sensors to set up. Obviously it's not as powerful as one that's powered by the PC. But it's just more user friendly. Like you just put on the headset, you put on the hand controllers, and you're set, good to go. You can find any room, you can play around, whatever. Where something like the HTC Vive, which we have here, we have to set up the sensors, we have to get an area. You are still connected by the back. The Oculus Quest, while not there yet, is the future, right? We're just thinking that it's down the line it'll be much more powerful, and you're gonna get like an awesome experience, from this untethered version. Caboose, did you watch the trailer, and what'd you think?
For the
Vader Immortal
VR game? I did not. Okay. But after everything you guys are pitching here, I'm really intrigued to see what this is all about. This sounds really awesome. Is this supposed to be set within canon, or is this kind of going to be its own thing?
It's supposed to set in canon, and also it ties into something me and Tony, actually, is that the first time we met? Tony? Yeah, me and Tony met when we did the Void VR, the Secrets of the Empire VR, and that's a different type of VR game. That's in a much more expensive, much more elaborate setup. You got a whole room with a maze, the bodysuit and everything, but that one is actually set on Mustafar as well, and I think it takes place around the same time because
they look very similar.
Yeah, you are. It takes place, I think, is it before Rogue One?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Cassian is there, and you're on a smuggling ship, and somehow you end up on Mustafar, and then you have to disguise yourself as a stormtrooper and whatnot. I don't want to spoil it too much if you want to go play it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But this one is set on Mustafar as well. You're there, and you interact with Vader, and you have to a mix between solving puzzles and then also some lightsaber combat, fighting droids and whatnot, and it looks interesting. And also, they're calling this Episode 1,
which I thought was super interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, wow!
Because that really just opens the door for so much of it, and Star Wars stories they're endless. You can come up with anything, and especially putting it in the timeline. Obviously, if this is tied into Secrets of the Empire, in that Rogue One kind of zone between 3 and 4. Seems like that's what all Star Wars games are living in right now. I bet eventually we'll see games take place between 6 and 7, kind of clear that timeline up a little bit of what's going on then. But VR, it's perfect opportunity to wield a lightsaber and just get to play around in that space.
That's what I was gonna say. There's no thing that works better for VR than Star Wars and lightsabers.
Absolutely, absolutely, and like when we got to go, me and Dorian got to go and be Iron Man in VR, like that just suits VR so perfectly. This does as well. I was selfishly before waiting, I was like, are we going to get to play as Vader? That's what I was hoping for. Because again, it just feels like having the VR on your face, you could feel, having the VR on your face, oh, I'm wearing the mask. And now I'm controlling his lightsaber.
Maybe that's episode 6 or so. I don't know how many episodes they're going to do, but I think the plan is each episode's going to be an hour long, and I don't know how many they're going to do total, but I'm guessing they're going to do it where the pricing is probably, I don't know if they announced the price, but I'm guessing it's going to be $10 or something like that.
Right.
Feel like a Telltale
exactly.
situation.
Where they're going to have X amount of episodes and for a cheaper price. That way, you start playing and then you get, and also this is made by ILM Lab, which also made Secrets of the Empire. So that makes sense that it has this Mustafar connection, and it feels like almost watching. And I was like, oh, this looks like an extension of what we played
it
at
does.
Secrets of the Empire. You don't have a Void VR near you, do you, Caboose?
No, none of that. Unfortunately, Toronto's got to get rolling on some VR stuff. But
maybe when you come out here,
we'll go check it out.
When I come down there, we can try that out.
I'm down to play. I'm down. They just posted Void VR. If you want to check out their Instagram, they just posted. Remember that video we did about us all playing it? They reposted, I guess, right before Star Wars Celebration. They're so they just posted on their Instagram I think yesterday. So it was cool. I was like, oh, cool. We're being featured again. I played. I originally played Mark had me play Trials on Tatooine, which was kind of this virtual reality, not game. It wasn't a game because it was so short, but it's almost like a demo experimental thing, and that's where you wielded this lightsaber. Like you guys mentioned, VR is perfect for that.
Exactly.
That was the first time I got to do that in VR. It was just crazy experience. And then I know Mark Fernandez. He got the lightsaber mod for Fallout, and so he's going around fighting people with lightsabers. And in that mod, you can you can pick different lightsabers. You can pick Kylo Ren, Anakin's, Luke's.
That's funny.
A whole bunch of different people. So it's VR is definitely made for this.
And there's a reason there's Beat Saber. There's a reason they made that Beat Saber because it'd be fun to wield a lightsaber in VR, and especially after Rogue One. Spoiler alert, I guess. But when you see, if you haven't seen it by now, it's your fault. Just seeing Vader just destroy people, I'm like, I want to be Vader.
Who wouldn't want to take control?
I know, I want to be Vader.
Driver's seat there.
Yeah. So
you had also David S. Goyer, who is a screenwriter who also co-wrote The Dark Knight.
Yeah,
he's working on this game as well. So they're putting.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So they're putting some money behind. I hope. Yeah. Because when I was watching the panel and they were talking about it, because you play as a character. That that kind of finds themselves in that situation. Like, so they emphasize a lot of the story stuff. I hope that is a big part of it. Obviously, we want the experience, we want the action, the immersiveness, but I do want story out of it, because sometimes when you hear about a game and they talk about story and then nothing. So sometimes a movie too. They were like, oh, it's going to be so much story, and then like you watch, and you're like, no, it wasn't that much story.
Yeah, pretty bare bones.
Yeah. So
and that's what's exciting about VR these days is it's growing into full-on experiences and less just gimmicky kind of like, oh, this is VR, and this is how you do it. I can see my hand. Like, no, now you're getting to actually experience it as if you're there.
Yeah, because I mean, isn't the point of gaming? I mean, when you play gaming, right, you're experiencing it on a level as opposed to watching a movie or television where you're watching someone else. Yeah, you get to play a role. I think VR is just another step into that direction.
And I think we've had this. That's been an issue with all gaming technology when it's new. Like even the Nintendo Wii was the same way. Like when the Wii came out, there's a lot of shovelware. That's like, oh look, now you can play video games like this, and it's like, all right, you know. So VR had that at the beginning. I feel like a lot of like, oh look, you can play tennis, and it's like very basic. But now it's like, you know, full on experience.
Experiment a little, Let's put out some really, I mean, the number one thing that I've always said that the hardest sell about VR is the sell. It's hard to market a VR game. The marketing of a VR game is you have to try it. Yes. Because once you do, then you're
sold. Then you're sold.
It's tough.
Then you will get it. Up until that point, it is so hard to convince someone how cool VR can be and what the potential of it is. But once you put that VR headset on, then you're like, oh, this is what all the hubbub is about. You know, that my first experience was playing Batman Arkham VR. And I'll never forget the experience of first putting on that VR headset. I look to my right, and Alfred's there. I press a button on the piano, and I'm going down into the Batcave. I even remember, like, the elevator opens up, and I was like, whoa, like, I shook as if I was in a real elevator. You know, it's like, it's such a cool moment, and that's exactly what you get out of VR. But you don't get that until you experience it.
Yeah, because the trailer, you get to see the graphics, but the graphics will always be behind like a console or PC graphics, because they have to
accommodate for certain other things.
Well, also the engine has to render for both eyes. So essentially you're getting half the horsepower, right? Because you have to render in both eyes, and therefore it's never going to be the equivalent to the highest end PC game or the highest end console game. But that's not the point of it when you play it, is to be immersed in it.
Because if that's what you're looking for out of an experience, just play a PC game. Just play
exactly.
Game.
Exactly. It's not about
VR's
the graphics.
It's
immersive game. And so excited to check that out. I wonder, you know, we actually had talked to some ILM lab people after a demo we did of the Wreck-It Ralph. Actually, it was called Ralph Wrecks the VR instead of Ralph Wrecks the Internet. And so we
guys have play that at Void as well, right?
Yeah. So we can reach out to them, and maybe we can, you know, maybe get an advanced copy of. It's also on the Rift. It's on Oculus Rift and Quest. Originally, they're okay, this is on Quest, but they're like, okay, we're gonna have it on Rift as well.
Right.
So. All right, so let's move on to the next topic. This one, I think, Caboose, you're going to talk mostly about, because I think you're the only one who got to play this game. The Sekiro Shadows died twice. Sales, 2 million copies over the last couple weeks, which is very impressive. I know you did a review on our YouTube channel. Do you want to just kind of give your overall impressions and thoughts about this game?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, listen, I've never played a game like, you know, within the Dark Souls. Like, I never played a game from Software where it's that super difficult, super challenging type of game. So going into this, I was extremely intimidated. When Dennis first texted me, he's like, hey, listen, we want you to play Sekiro. I was like, oh God. I was a little intimidated, because I've heard, even from people, like I have a couple of friends of mine who are hardcore Dark Souls fans, and they are really into that franchise, who are like, Sekiro is hard to play. Like, it's really difficult. So I was going in really expecting to be frustrated and near the point of quitting. And there were definitely a lot of times where I went into an encounter and I played through it maybe 30 to 40 like retries, you know, just dying and going through over and over. But The one thing that is so good about this game, which I'm sure is what people love about Dark Souls, is after that 41st try, when you finally succeed, it feels amazing. It's one of the most satisfying feelings ever. And you also pick up on certain things that maybe you didn't before. There was one encounter very early on. It's like very early on. It's one of the first kind of higher health enemies that you face off against. And I remember, like, I kept dying over and over and over again just because I couldn't go toe-to-toe with the guy and I just wasn't experienced enough. But after dying so many times, I was like, okay, let me experiment here. Let me see what kind of different avenue I can take towards this encounter. And I realized that I can stealth attack the dude and take off a good chunk of his health. And once I realized that, that's what helped me take the person down. So in that trial and error, there was a lot of fun to be had with this game. However, I don't know if you guys have heard what the big controversy is right now surrounding Sekiro.
Yeah,
what is it?
Easy mode, like putting in like accessibility.
So there was a lot of controversy surrounding Sekiro regarding, well, hey, shouldn't there be an option for us to play this game in a more relaxed environment, not just for someone who doesn't want the challenge, but for the accessibility options. You know, there are a lot of people out there who play video games who are unfortunately not as fortunate as we are to be able to play games. And for them, they should be allowed an option to enjoy Sekiro where it isn't ridiculously difficult. That's not trying to patronize them either. I know there are plenty of people out there who can perform and play this game much better than I can, who are maybe not as abled, and that's great, but they, you know, they're a dime a dozen. There's still plenty of other people who are unfortunately just unable to play this game because of how difficult it is. And I feel, in my personal opinion, to jump in and provide my 2 cents on this whole controversy, I feel there is nothing that is taken away from Sekiro to add an easy mode. You remove nothing from the game.
Right.
If you are one of those diehard Souls-like fans who wants to jump into this game and play it how it is quote-unquote meant to be played, that option can be available to you. And who knows? Maybe if, let's say, you know, I came home from a long day and I want to play Sekiro because it looks like a damn cool looking game. And it is a damn cool looking game. But I just want to relax. I don't want to be sweating playing this game. Then, after I maybe get into the groove of things and I'm like, you know what? I think I got a little more confident in my ability. I'll switch to the hard mode. I'll switch to the more challenging mode.
Yeah.
You can bring so many more eyes to these games if that were to be an option. And then the counter argument again becomes, well, why didn't anyone say this for Dark Souls or for Bloodborne? And I think the reasoning behind that is because, well, Sekiro is the first Souls-like game that has really had a narrative and like an actual story to want to invest in. The Dark Souls games have always been kind of like create your own character, and the draw to those games is how challenging it is, and the boss battles and all that stuff.
It's also their biggest hit, which is, I guess, a
Right.
surprise for me because I had not heard too much leading up to this game.
Me neither.
Like, this is definitely a hardcore gamer's game. And so hardcore gamers are buying this game, playing this game, loving this game, where it's not attracted a lot. I think it's attracting more media now because of how people are responding to it.
Sure.
But before that, no one was hyping up this game at all. And then it hit, and then people are like, oh man, this game's awesome, but it's super, super difficult. And the way that it sounds too is that it's challenging and difficult in a way that doesn't make you upset. It's not like, oh well, the computer's cheating, or like there's some sort of there's something wrong with the controls. It's just more like, okay, this is what I have to do, but I just didn't accomplish it.
There are some frustrating moments.
I'm sure.
Everyone who's played Sekiro will know there is one specific boss battle where you think it's over like 3 times and it keeps going. It is really tough. There are some moments definitely where you just got to put down the controller and take a breather because it can get
I'm stressed out right now, and I'm not even playing. Like, I haven't even played it and I'm stressed out already.
Trust me, there's one. Anyone who's played Sekiro knows exactly what I'm talking about. There's one boss fight that just hurt my soul. Because I beat them, and then they came back, and then I beat them, and then they came back, and it's oh my goodness, it could get very frustrating. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think regarding like the controversy and an easy mode? What
I think it's like what you said, and this applies to many things where you're adding it in, but it's not taking anything away.
Yeah.
I know this is a strange analogy, but the first thing I thought of is we do spoiler reviews for movies, right?
Yeah.
And we hold them until the night that they come out, which is Thursday night usually for movies. And people start yelling, like not everyone, but there's certain people that start yelling at us. And it's like, they're like, it's not, the movie just came out. And I'm like, yeah, it came out. So you can go see the movie, or you choose not to. You don't have to watch the spoiler review.
Right.
Yeah.
No one's forcing you to watch the spoiler review. It says spoilers in there. So just like that, with the what you're saying, easier mode, yeah, there's an easier mode. No one's making you click that easy mode to play it.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just there. It's there for you if you want it or not. Just like the spoiler review is there for you. If you want to, I understand if like we took the spoiler review and we released a week early and people getting spoiled and there's whatever.
Yeah.
You can go watch the movie now.
Yeah.
And then you watch the spoiler review, or wait till you watch it over
even
the
the thumbnails aren't spoilery from what I've seen when you guys post those reviews as well. So like you do nothing to like on face value spoil people. It's just if they watch the actual review, then yes, you will receive
the one titled spoiler review.
Yeah. But that would be your fault.
Yes. if you have no self-control, that's your problem.
So I don't know. I think it's just unfair that there's such like it feels like gatekeeping almost, where all these people who are hardcore diehard fans of like Dark Souls and everything are like, no, you cannot have an easy mode.
Yeah, you can't finish this game because it's hard, and that's it's like
it doesn't make any sense to me why people are upset. Because again, it's not something that's new. This isn't a new idea people are trying to put in. Go back to Mega Man 2 on NES. There was easy and hard mode. Like it's been a thing. Like why is it so shocking? Like it doesn't take away from your experience. You know what I mean? And it's just it seems like this kind of like alpha thing where it's like, oh, if you can't beat the game, you're not part of this fraternity that we're in. And that's why people are upset. Like grow up.
Listen, I'm old now. I've been playing games for a long time. There are parts in certain games where it's like I play normal. Most 99% of games that I play, I'll always play normal. Whatever that normal. I think like Halo, I'll play heroic, which is like one step above normal. But 99% of the time, I pick whatever the standard is. So once in a while, if I get to a part that I'm stuck at, you know, maybe back in the day, I'd be like, all right, I got a ton of time. I'm going to sit here and try and beat this. I'll play something several times. And if I can't beat it, I'll put it on an easier mode, and then I'll pass that certain tiny part. And then I'll put it back on normal. Because I'm trying to play. I'm trying to enjoy the game. Not pull my hair out.
There's so many games I wish that this was a thing for. Like even if like games like there's so many games I grew up with that I've never beaten. Battletoads. Like I just can't. You know, like if you just gave me an option where I just had like infinite lives or something. You know what I mean? Like I would enjoy that game so much more. Because I would be able to complete that experience.
A great example too that I can pull out is we recently had Devil May Cry 5 come out.
Yes.
And in Devil May Cry 5, there is kind of like a hierarchy of the difficulties. And there's one mode called Dante Must Die that is ridiculously difficult. But in playing in like just the normal mode, I got so confident in my ability to like, you know, get those high combos to avoid getting hit that I was like, you know what? I'm going to give Dante Must Die mode a go. I failed miserably, but I was confident enough to jump in and give that a try. So I say, why not have that option there for someone who jumps into Sekiro and is like, I'm just going to play this in the relaxed environment. I just want to enjoy the story. I just want to see what the game is all about. And then they get into it and they're like, you know what? I'm actually really good at the combat. Let me jump into the more challenging mode. All this does, an easy mode, all it will do is potentially double those sales numbers. That's all it will do is potentially bring more eyes to games like this. And I don't know anyone in the universe who wouldn't want more people playing games.
Well, how about like
you're a fan of this?
Okay, let's say for me, I hear this game's super hard, right?
Yeah.
And I told you, I don't have time for that. I'm not younger anymore.
Yeah.
I have tons of stuff in my life that my hair is falling out from that don't involve video games. I don't need that to be a part of it. So I hear there's an easy mode or maybe a lesser challenging mode. I might think, hey, maybe I'll try the game now and play it on that mode and see how it goes.
You don't have all the time in the world.
And then let's say I do well on the normal or easy mode and I enjoy it enough, I'll give the hard mode a try. Yeah. So I don't know. I just open things. To me, I think every game needs an easy, normal, and hard.
100%.
Sure.
100%.
So.
And it goes so far beyond just like the average gamer. Like I said, for specifically as well for accessibility, that it's not fair for people out there who just can't play the game as difficult as it is. It's not fair that they miss out on a cool game like this.
100%.
So
all right, let's move on to the next topic. We've got supposedly this is coming. I don't think it's confirmed, but a lot of people believe this to be true, that Microsoft is combining their Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription, or it's going to be called the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscription that combines Xbox Live Gold and Xbox Game Pass for $14.99, which right now I think Live is how much a year?
It's about like the price of a game, if I remember.
No, it's more than that. I think. Right?
Is it a little more?
Yeah, I think it's a little more. Maybe it is 60. I can't remember.
Let me see.
They always charge my credit card, so like it's one of those.
So I believe, if I'm looking at things right, it's about 60. For the year.
60 a year, which
this looks like it's correct.
Which rounds out to be what, like $5, $6,
$5 a month.
$5 a month.
Right, and that'd be like the discounted price. I think like monthly it ends up if you pay for like a monthly subscription, it ends up costing more.
Yeah, so
but
they're saying
for the year, you're at
they're going to combine the Gamer Pass with Xbox Live Gold for $14.99 a month, which it's not a bad deal. I personally am not going to get it because, like I've mentioned before, I don't have time to even play the games that I do have. But if I had a lot more time and I had Game Pass, great deal.
Sure.
I mean, you play a ton of games. Xbox Live Gold, you basically need that. I mean, it's one of those things where the online experience is much better on the Xbox than it is on PlayStation, but you have to pay for it. So you're getting what you paid for, but you do have to pay for it. So and because they're coming out with the Xbox One S, like all digital version, the discless version. This makes perfect sense. So someone can buy it for a cheaper price. They don't even have to buy games. They can just have the Gamer Pass, and that's what they play.
I just can't even believe this hasn't already been a thing. I can't believe that this wasn't like when they're like, hey, we have this new thing called Game Pass, and you can combine it with your that should have been like day one.
Yeah,
that's shocking to me. That I think that's great. I think Game Pass is a great way to play games and get opportunity to play games that you might have missed, and
Dorian can play
awesome.
Halo finally.
Finally.
I told him I'd play that with him.
That's a fun co-op game. That's one of my favorite co-op games is Halo.
For sure. For sure. I think this is great. I mean, more and more people have to recognize and have to give credit where credit is deserved to Microsoft for what they've done with the Game Pass. It is such a good service. You have no idea. I think right now you can get, if you were to start your monthly subscription with Game Pass, you can get the first 2 months for $1.
Yep.
Like, do you even realize how many games, how much value is in there? Even if you just subscribe for 2 months for those $2, there are so many games you can play and enjoy in those 2 months. And even if you cancel your subscription, oh my goodness, it would be the best 2 months of gaming. I'm telling you, you're having a long time. I know it's such a meme now. It's such a joke. Like, oh, you play on Xbox? But come on. Let's move past that for a second. This is such a good deal. And just like Tony said, no brainer. Combine it with Xbox Live Gold. Absolutely. They should have done that a long time ago.
Wish this was out when it was about like 20 years
Oh my
ago
gosh.
when I was unemployed.
Oh.
When I was unemployed 20 years ago, and like
you kidding me?
literally, it was like me and my college friends lived together
Just
in an
playing
apartment
games.
playing games.
What a dream.
Yeah.
day and night. We you know.
What a dream to have no responsibilities.
Yeah, that
and
was
living in this gaming world we live in.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Unfortunately, that time has passed now, and so, but you know, and this further along. I know, like, someone had asked one of the Xbox reps about Google's Stadia, and they had stated that, oh well, Google doesn't have the connections to the games that they do, and that's why Xbox has the advantage. When we're talking about cloud gaming, Xbox has, you know, the first party games. They also have the connections with the third party, which is true, but it's not like Google can't.
No, people are going to want to work with Google. It's Google.
And also, but you know, the whole point of the thing, the whole cloud gaming thing, is that the games are not going to be system agnostic. They're not. It is going to be system agnostic, where it's going to be like, it doesn't matter. It's going to go.
Hopefully,
whatever streaming service is in the future. Let's say there's 3 of them. The game will be on all 3 of them. It just depends on which one you have. And then, of course, they're going to start doing exclusive stuff.
Yeah, because we're already seeing that with Steam and Epic.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, that's the one thing that worries me, is this, if we're gonna have an arms race where it's like, I don't want to have all subscriptions.
Yeah, exactly.
All, you know?
We're already doing that with television, and movies, so it's gonna happen.
I know.
But overall, I think it's a good thing. I think this is the Xbox Game Pass is Xbox getting into their xCloud gaming. This is a nice trial for them.
It's a good way for them. It's been a good way for them after, you know, let's be honest, they've lost this generation.
They definitely lost this generation.
But it's a good way that they've kept in the race, and definitely going forward with this and xCloud. You know, I'm excited for what Microsoft's going to bring.
Yeah.
So. 100%.
All right. This is a smaller story before we get into Twitter questions. I guess all 3, Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft, are being under investigation for consumer rights violations. Basically, it has to do with digital refunds on pre-orders and whatnot. Like, I guess before, I haven't canceled any. Usually I buy physical. Sometimes I buy digital. Usually I buy digital when the game has already been out and it's on sale digitally, and then I'll buy it. I usually pre-order physical.
Or I only do digital when it's like Spider-Man. I had to play it right when it launched. Like I wanted it preloaded. Like that. But that's rare too. So.
So there was like an investigation going on all 3 on when people have to easily get cancellations for the. I mean, it makes sense though. I mean, if you don't want a game and you pre-order and the game hasn't been delivered to you yet, you should be able to cancel any time.
Sure.
Yep.
It's a digital. No physical thing was produced. I can understand if it's, let's say you pre-order, I don't know, a car, right? And it's custom made for you. Like you have specific specifications to that car. You want this feature, that feature, blah, blah, blah. Of course, there should be some sort of either cancellation fee or no refund type of thing, because they had to build this thing for you.
Yeah.
No one's building anything on your digital pre-order.
Right. Yeah.
It's just your access to it as a code.
Yeah.
They literally should let you cancel it up to the moment right before you purchase. You're able to download and purchase.
I agree. And
100%.
there's also they also talk about in this with like automatic charges.
Yeah, auto renewals on contracts.
Yeah,
like
and
Xbox
so there's
Live
this is like 2 sides to me. I'm like, I agree with the pre-order stuff. Like if you don't get it, because sometimes people pre-order a game. We get our hands on review copies. People see the reviews and they're like, "Oh no, this game's not," and people are like, "Oh, then I don't want it." Then that's fine.
Yeah.
Now the other thing, I'm just like, that's kind of silly with the auto renewals.
Yeah.
Like you should know if you have a subscription service.
Yeah, I'm subscribed to Xbox
They're
Live.
gonna charge you.
Yeah, if they charge me.
Why is that under investigation?
That's usually like something really important when you're making the purchase too. I think that they. I don't know. It's been a while since I've purchased like a subscription service, but I usually remember every time I do, they're like, "Hey, just so you know, it's on auto renewal right now, and
Yeah.
you can go turn that off in this section or whatever.
You should know what you're subscribed to. I know what I'm subscribed to.
Yeah.
And if you realize, I do think they should give you a grace period in the sense of something gets auto renewed, and if you call them within a day or two, they should refund your money if you want to cancel it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
Because now you're like, okay.
Yeah.
But I don't think the auto renewal process in general is unfair. I just think
what I think most of this stems from too is, and this was a problem with, not a problem, but like with Apple and their, you can get a free game. Say you have a 5-year-old, and you let them play on your iPhone, a free game. A lot of those games have like in-game purchases, and then like parents would get their phone back, and it's like $400 worth of stuff, right? And it's like that shouldn't be so easy to do, right? Where a kid could accidentally do it or whatever.
That's the thing, is legally they have to refund that money. You know that?
Yeah.
Because like if it's purchases that are children, like they just don't want to get involved with that. You know what I mean? But if you're an adult, they ain't giving you, as soon as you're over 18, they're not giving you any of that money.
And I think maybe that's part of what this investigation might be about. It's like, for a kid, and if they signed up for something that they, or whatever. So I don't know. It's with subscriptions, that part seems silly because it's like that's just what a subscription is. That's the definition. Yeah,
and like I said, if you think, as long as maybe that's what's under investigations, maybe they're not giving that little grace period of 24 or 48 hours, So.
That's why I make a note. Like I signed up for, if I got a free trial of something, and I'm like, all right, I got to cancel this before this date. Yeah. Right? Like I wanted to watch something, and I got a free trial of like YouTube TV because I don't have cable. So I wanted to, I was like, I have 5 days. So like, all right, make sure to cancel this or they're going to charge me $40. I make sure of that. I think that's on me. That's not on them. That's not on YouTube 100%. TV. That's on me.
No.
There's certain things that don't make sense to be under investigation, but
let's focus on some real stuff. Like
Yeah,
Borderlands, fixing Game of the Year edition so I can play with my friends.
It is funny too that we come to this topic just off of the heels of like, hey, Microsoft is combining Game Pass and Xbox Live. A monthly subscription service that has auto renewal.
All right, let's move on to some Twitter questions. At TMill24 asks, Sonic got his own movie. A studio exec dumps $30 million on a table and asks you to pitch your idea for the next standalone video game. However, it must be about a pre-2000s game / character. My vote, an R-rated stoner comedy featuring Toe Jam and Earl. Do it, Sega.
That's a good call.
So pre-2000.
Good call. That's
pre-2000.
Fun. That's fun.
Okay.
So we have to make a movie.
Okay. So we already have, Sonic. Let's just say Mario's out of the picture.
Castlevania's out.
They already made a Mario game or movie.
Yeah. And they're making one already.
Yeah. So. What do you guys think?
Say this one's easy for me. I choose Mortal Kombat.
Okay.
I think that works perfectly on a lower budget. Just a majority of the money can go into the stunt choreography. You don't need like A-list actors for something like Mortal Kombat. Mortal Kombat as a movie gets sold on the name of the franchise. The same way, if you made like a Spider-Man movie, it doesn't really matter who you got in the title role. It's Spider-Man that sells the tickets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, you need someone who is able to act and fits the role well. But I mean, like, you don't need an A-list actor to be playing Spider-Man. Tom Holland was not an A-lister, but so Mortal Kombat totally works pre-90s. So I think, or it's pre-2000s. Was that the
pre-2000s
criteria?
Yeah.
So totally works, and I would love to see now, a rebooted version of that, which Ed Boon has said in a recent interview with Game Informer was a conversation he had just 5 months ago. Nice. It seems that there are rumblings and they're trying to make this happen, and I think it could totally work. Mortal Kombat is awesome.
I'll say this, Caboose.
Yeah, okay.
Be careful when you ask for low budget on Mortal Kombat, because my biggest pet peeve with the original movie is like, why is this so real? Like, why are they trying to make this real? Like, shoot some fireballs and stuff. You know what I mean? That's that's what Mortal Kombat's cool. That's my favorite part of the game. Like, you know, like he did one pseudo fireball and it really wasn't. It was just his hands. He punches him at the end. Been like, oh, was that supposed to be kind of a fireball? Come on.
I think even on 30 million, there could be enough special effects.
Yeah, give me some fireballs. That's what this is a tough question. I would say, oh man, I'd say Mega Man.
Okay.
Because that seems like it could be a fun.
But would you do like an animated one or live action?
Just make it live action. Let's do it.
PG.
Yeah.
PG.
Yeah. Okay. And you could do, you know, it'd be cool. Like you see him throughout the movie taking down these robot masters, gaining his powers, and then at the end he has all of them, right? Yeah. And like the big final fight scene, he's changing between metal blades and his buster and all these other things, doing what he needs to do to, you know, get to Dr. Wily. That'd be fun.
I go with Half-Life. Half-Life was like kind of, it's not the original first-person shooter. There's tons of but it was the first one that people really gravitated towards that was more than just shooting. It was like a story. Yeah. And Valve, you know, became famous from that. Eventually, they created Steam, which they're raking in the dough on that. But I mean, that's where Gearbox became famous from. Is they worked on one of the expansion packs for Half-Life. I forgot which one it was called, but I remember I bought that. It was Gearbox did that.
Now I have to ask you this: do you have Gordon Freeman as your main character, and do you have him talk?
Yes, for both.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
for
think
both.
So. I think you have to.
I mean, Bryan Cranston could have been Gordon Freeman.
It's so that's such an interesting part too. It's like, especially like we just talked about Mario, and like they're making an animated Mario movie that's coming out in a few years. Like, it's so weird because even in his games, like Mario Odyssey or whatever, like there's not a lot of like dialogue, like scenes of dialogue. So I just can't imagine like a scene where Mario and Toad are talking like, all right, the princess is gone. What are we going to do? Like, that's such a weird scene in my mind, right? Because the game is just all action, right? And they're like, all right, this princess is gone. Let's go get her. So, and I think that's a big thing with a lot of video games is the main characters don't talk much because we're supposed to put ourselves in that main character's shoes, right? That's why Link doesn't talk. That's why, you know, but you got to have your main character talk,
All right, let's do one more before we get out of here. This one's relevant to this Star Wars Celebration weekend. Companies that you wish Lucasfilm can trust in the games division. Now, what's sad about this is before, like a year ago, I would have been like, all right, they could BioWare, because, you know, Knights of the Old Republic. Let's get BioWare. All this shit that happened with Anthem, I would have said, oh, Bethesda, you know, like imagine a Star Wars game. But now, like, it's tougher. So, I mean, I'm trying to think of what companies out there. What companies would you guys trust?
I have
with the Star Wars license.
So my first thing, especially if we're all rooting, I don't know if you guys want to say page, but if we're rooting for like a big story-driven narrative game, that's what I am hoping. You know, Jedi Fallen Order is, and that's what I'd want. Rockstar.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, that seems like the easiest answer. Like, I mean, Red Dead Redemption 2 was
you wouldn't see the game for like 10 years or whatever.
Right.
It'd be awesome, but take 10 years.
Yeah, but you know, what are you gonna do?
I was gonna say in Dreamland, we want Rockstar. They're the ones who have made some of the greatest games of all time. So them handling the Star Wars license is like, oh my god. But another one that I think that would be really cool is Insomniac Games.
Yeah.
They recently did Spider-Man. I think that all those guys there, everyone who's working on Insomniac is such a massive just fan of the geek culture, whether it's, you know, the Marvel characters or Star Wars. And if they were given the reins to the Star Wars IP, I'm sure that they're big enough fans of it to want to do it justice, and they can make a really cool, like, whether it's an open world or story-driven game, I'm sure that they would be able to knock it out of the park. But yeah, my initial answer was going to be Rockstar, but another answer would definitely be Insomniac.
For me, it'd be Remedy. We talked about them last week with Control. They did Alan Wake and Max Payne. I think they would do a pretty cool kind of action, third-person style action with some storyline and something.
Even like a cool survival horror Star Wars game sounds awesome. I would be down for that.
Any other companies you think could handle a Star Wars game?
None for me.
I mean, unless you give them to the first party.
Yeah.
Like, let Sony Santa Monica make a PlayStation exclusive. Like,
right.
Or Naughty Dog.
Yeah. Of course. All the big ones. Who wouldn't want to see that?
Yeah, definitely. They'd crush it.
All right. All right, guys. That's it for this episode of the Collider Games podcast. And I want to thank everyone who's listening in or watching on YouTube. Tony, thanks for joining us. Where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at I am Tony Revis.
And Caboose?
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CabooseEK and right here on Collider Games.
And you guys can find me on Twitter at ThinkHero, Instagram, Dennis.tzng. Make sure to subscribe to this YouTube channel, youtube.com/Collider Games. Also, you can find us on the Collider Factory podcast feed every week. So until next time, we'll see you guys later.